All right. Well, people been asking for indictments. People been asking, when is somebody going to be going to jail? And now your wish has been answered, because within the next day or so, James Comey, the former FBI director, is said to be indicted. And the reason why I know it's going to happen within the next few days is because the statute of limitations on his crimes, the 5-year statute of limitations, literally has 5 or 6 days to it. Now, please know something, that this indictment is not coming down without pushback. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you something. This woman here, I'll read this to you real quick, then I'm going to get back, because I've got clips to show you exactly what James Comey is going to be indicted for. And you're going to be able to see and hear his lie that will lead. And that's just one of the many issues that they've had with Jim Comey, one of the many things that they have found. And what the Democrats are trying to do is trying to paint it like, oh, this is just a good guy. This is all weaponization. No, this man is the ringleader, the one who helped spearhead Crossfire Hurricane, which included the Russia hoax that led to all of this BS that we saw with the political attacks on our president. So you're going to hear with James Comey, the lie that he told that will lead to him in prison. You're going to hear from the president. You also going to hear from Assistant Deputy Director Dan Bongino as he drops a bomb. And you're going to hear from Peter Navarro, the man who on the other side, on the Trump side, they threw in prison over a subpoena, didn't violate any laws, didn't do anything wrong. Put this man in prison, him and Steve Bannon. So buckle up, because this one's going to be spicy. Now, this lady right here, her name is Maya Song. Now, Maya Song works in the DOJ. Maya Song wrote a letter saying that James Comey should not be prosecuted. But guess what we found out? Maya Song, if you can see right here, recently worked for Lisa Monaco in the Biden Department of Justice, because people just can't be fired strictly because they are Democrats. It's all about whether they do their job. And Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, that's all they're about. Did you know that they actually give the agents a lie detector? I'm not sure if it's monthly or quarterly, to make sure that they're loyal to the Bureau, to make sure that they're loyal to the president. And this isn't something that Trump is just having them do. This is something that routinely has happened in the FBI at the highest levels of intelligence. I'm sure you can imagine. But the Democrats, when they had Cash Patel at a Senate hearing a week or two ago, asked him, hey, are you giving lie detector tests to FBI agents to make sure they're loyal to Trump? He's like, well, as you know, this is a procedure that the FBI has always done to make sure that our agents are in alignment. So these Democrats are flipping it. So as you see right here, disgraced FBI Director James Comey to be indicted. You see that date, September the 25th. This one is not smokescreen. This one is real deal. And guess who else is coming down the pipe? Letitia James, both within the next few days. Why? Because we have a new prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia. The previous prosecutor was a Biden holdover that refused to prosecute anybody. So when y'all were saying, what's going on? What's going on? And please, folks, remember something. Pam Bondi is the head of a department, but she doesn't do everything. You know what I mean? So people are saying, what's going on? Well, that prosecutor didn't want to do anything, so she was let go. They were terminated. Now we got somebody in the seat that's willing to go to work. Now, I want you to check out this clip here, because this is one of the many reasons why James Comey is looking at jail time. Check this clip out here.
To another topic. On May 3rd, 2017, in this committee, Chairman Grassley asked you point blank, quote, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation? You responded under oath, quote, never. He then asked you, quote, have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton administration? You responded again under oath, no. Now, as you know, Mr. McCabe, who works for you, has publicly and repeatedly stated that he leaked information to the Wall Street Journal and that you were directly aware of it and that you directly authorized it. Now, what Mr. McCabe is saying and what you testified to this committee cannot both be true. One or the other is false. Who's telling the truth?
I can only speak to my testimony. I stand by what the testimony you summarized that I gave in May of 2017.
So your testimony is you've never authorized anyone to leak. And Mr. McCabe, if he says contrary, is not telling the truth. Is that correct?
Again, I'm not going to characterize Andy's testimony, but mine is the same today.
All right, I'm going to make a final point because my time has expired. This investigation of the president was corrupt. The FBI and the Department of Justice were politicized and weaponized. And in my opinion, there are only two possibilities: that you were deliberately corrupt or woefully incompetent. And I don't believe you were incompetent. This has done severe damage to the professionals and the honorable men and women at the FBI, because law enforcement should not be used as a political weapon.
So as you heard, he asked him, hey, so you testified that you never were a part of this, you never heard that? He said, You know, and now he said, now your counterpart, your guy, Mr. McCabe, who works with you, said that you gave him orders and authorization to go leak information about President Trump to the press. Is that true? He said, I don't want to say anything about what he's saying, but I stand by what I said before. Wasn't confirmed nor denied. You know what that tells us? He knew. Now check this part out of him, the actual testimony. This isn't him answering a question about the testimony. Check this out. Then I'm going to show you and let you hear him admitting out loud how they tried to set Trump up. Listen to this.
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts. And it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government. There is no fuzz on that. It is a high confidence judgment of the entire intelligence community. And the members of this committee have seen the intelligence. It's not a close call. That happened. That's about as unfake as you can possibly get, and is very, very serious, which is why it's so refreshing to see a bipartisan focus on that, because this is about America, not about any particular party.
So that was a hostile act by the Russian government against this country.
Yes, sir.
In that time frame, there were more than the DNC and the DCCC that were targets.
Correct. There was a massive effort to target government and non-governmental, near-governmental agencies like nonprofits.
What would be the estimate of how many entities out there the Russians specifically targeted in that time frame?
If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit the thumbs up. I'll never ask you for a Cash App or a Super Chat. You hitting that like button, it really helps. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And whether you're subscribing now or subscribed already, make sure that you hit notifications and you select all. That way, YouTube will make sure you get notified when I upload new videos.
It's hundreds. I suppose it could be more than 1,000, but it's at least hundreds.
Now, you just heard this man sit there and talk about how, oh, they were doing this and they know, and this came from people who are reputable people. And this man right here in 2017, look at that face. Look at how he's able to lie without batting an eye at all. Look at how good he is at it with everything we now know. We now know that 8 years ago, he sat under oath and told that blatant lie that Ted Cruz just was asking him about his testimony. Now, right here, he's talking about how the Russian sophisticated operation impacted the election. We know that that's a lie. He was giving his team authorization to leak on President Trump. They were spying on President Trump from within. Did you know that? Authorized by Obama, which is called Crossfire Hurricane. Now, check this out. As Comey is going to admit how he tried to set up President Trump. This one is wild.
It's hard to imagine two FBI agents ending up in the same room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. The protocol, two men that all of us have perhaps increased appreciation for over the last 2 years. And in both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over. And so we placed a call to Flynn, said, hey, we're sending a couple guys over. Hope you'll talk to them. He said, sure. Nobody else was there. They interviewed him in a conference room at the White House Situation Room, and he lied to them. And that's what he's now pled guilty to.
What did he think they were coming over there for?
I don't think he knew. No, we didn't tell him. Just said, sending over a couple of agents. I want to ask you some questions. I didn't have this conversation. My deputy director did, but hope you got a few minutes. You can sit down and talk to them.
Now, you may be saying, like, Brian, well, what was that about? That didn't have anything to do with Trump or honeypot. Yes, it did. What he just explained and just articulated was about when they set up General Mike Flynn. They sent agents over. He was thinking he was just about to talk, and they blindsided him, and they arrested him. Now, that leads right into the next program, which was exposed because James Comey did this program against President Trump. It was so radical that it wasn't even on the books. This was not a quote-unquote authorized hit job that he did on the president. Check out the Operation Honeypot and just what type of insidious things that he was trying to do to the president, what type of wretched skullduggery type of things he was doing to this man. And people think, oh, President Trump is just being paranoid, or you and I, we're just being paranoid, thinking that the Democrats were doing a hit job, not just on him, but they're working a number on you and I too, through the media, through Google, through YouTube. But check out Operation Honeypot and what What you just saw James Comey talking about with Mike Flynn led into President Trump, two women, and how things could have went real bad if President Trump was a predator or a pig. Check this out.
Plan to infiltrate President Trump's first campaign by using 2 undercover agents in a so-called honeypot operation.
Incredible.
Todd Pyro joins us with details. Todd, this is big.
And if you don't know what honeypot means, that's a sexual setup, but I'll lead right back into it.
Under the leadership of new FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, the Bureau has reportedly launched an investigation into the agency's plan to infiltrate President Trump's first campaign using 2 female undercover agents. The Washington Times reporting that the program was launched in 2015 by then FBI Director James Comey. The honeypot scheme was actually kept off the books, and according to a whistleblower, Comey's investigation was separate from Crossfire Hurricane. You, of course, know that as the FBI's operation that looked into allegations Trump's campaign colluded with Russia. A whistleblower disclosure says, quote, the case had no predicated foundation, so Comey personally directed the investigation without creating an official case file in Sentinel or any other FBI system. The FBI has multiple methods of protecting highly sensitive investigations, so Comey did not have a legitimate reason not to officially create an official investigation file or have a file number. FBI.
So as you just heard, what happened, and I'll give you a synopsis of it. Comey got two agents, and they were undercover, posing as women who just really was just head over heels for President Trump. They were trying to set him up sexually. They made passes at him, made advancements at him in a hope that he would fall for the bait, that he would do something that would just destroy his campaign, but it did not happen. Luckily, he had self-control and it did not work. So this is another example of the lengths that they were trying to go to get this man. So now we know that he's allegedly a lying scumbag. And let's listen to what President Trump had to say. And then I'm going to follow it up with the Assistant Deputy Director of the FBI, my man, Dan Bongino. Let's check out what the president had to say about Comey and his indictment and whether he feels is justified. And again, y'all, everybody's saying, oh, the arrest. It is a slippery slope. If they bring up cases and the prosecutors don't want to go along, or let's just say the prosecutor does say, all right, but they do a halfway job. They're not really focused. They're not really working to get a conviction. They're just grandstanding. That's going to mess up every other indictment that they try to bring down. And one thing I'm going to ask of Republicans, of the MAGA group, let's not turn into these whining leftists that just want every reaction out of emotion. Even if this wasn't Republican, Democrat, Trump, if you're bringing a case, when they're litigating a case, prosecuting a case, they make sure all of the evidence is stacked up to make sure they have the highest probability of success, not possibility, probability. So everybody's saying, oh, Trump come in office. If President Trump would have came in office and before he did crack down on immigration, focused on the economy and focused on crime, if he would have came in and just started arresting people, do you know what most people who are complaining today on the MAGA side would have said? Well, why do you do that? You should have waited, because everybody in America is not as focused as you or I on President Trump being able to clear his name. You got almost half of the country that believes this BS. And as unfortunate as this is, their votes matter. So please, let's not do this emotional Democrat type crap of don't think, don't plan, just act. And when I see people in the comments saying stuff like, just more grandstanding, nobody's getting arrested. Oh, I'm thinking, what are you talking about? President Trump's first term only had 2 years, where the Republicans had control of Congress. 2. And that was when he initially got in, and he's not a Washington insider. So he was listening to people on who he should pick and who he should put in his team. Then the Democrats take over, and after 2 years in, and you know what they did, stonewalled everything else. Now this is his second run at it. 9 months in, he's facing a full force of the media. You got 20 million illegals running around. You got American people having their lives taken by immigrants, and people want him to come in and just start arresting people like Letitia James and Fannie Willis and them without building a case. And do you think these people are just going to make it easy where all of the evidence is just laying out, where people just walk through and pick and pluck it? No. So I'm asking you, MAGA, I'm asking you, Republicans, let's breathe and let's really think. It's 9 months in to a 4-year term. The economy, people are hurting financially. Crime, people are losing their life, getting their carjacked. Immigration, people are losing their jobs, their livelihood. Our healthcare system is getting overwhelmed by illegal immigrants. And I know not you, but there's people that think it's more important for him to come in and lock Letitia James up than it is to lower the price of eggs and gas, to lock Jack Smith up rather than getting illegal immigrants out of our country, to throw Alvin Bragg in the gulag. before getting a handle on crime? No. But let's listen to our president. Apologize. I just wanted to get that out there.
Who do you hold responsible for the uptick in left-wing violence in the country?
Radical left rhetoric. The radical left is causing the problem. They're out of control. They're saying things, and they're really dumb people. I mean, I look at Crockett. I look at some of these people. They're very low IQ people, actually. But the radical left is causing this problem, not the right, the radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games. And I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left. But the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. But the radical left is causing this. The radical left Democrats are causing this problem, and it gets worse. It gets worse, and it'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore, and that will not be good for the radical left, and we don't want that.
So everything going on right now, this is all from the radical left. You got high-level FBI directors, high-level CIA directors, high-level people that are all working together to keep this man from doing what he did, which is regaining power to lead the United States. And it's really a blessing by the Most High God that he even made it through. Now let's listen to Dan Bongino. I want to play a little clip from Peter Navarro. Now, Peter Navarro is somebody who actually faced the long arm of the law. He actually was the recipient of the weaponization of the Biden DOJ. And I'm not going to play this whole clip, but I want you to listen to how he breaks it down, what happened to him.
Joining us to discuss is a top White House economic advisor, Peter Navarro. He is the author of the new book, I Went to Prison So You Won't Have to. Sir, thanks very much for being here.
Great to be with you. And it is kind of funny. I mean, I did go to prison. I did go to prison for honoring the Constitution, and I'm the only one. And meanwhile, there's a lot of people out there who should be in prison, in my judgment, and I think in the judgment of many people in the Trump administration. James Comey's at the top of that list. Now, I don't have any inside knowledge.
Is what's going on with James Comey? How is it not basically the same thing that you're saying happened to you?
Because he broke the law and I didn't. Simple as that. Let me lay this out for you. The big picture here, and again, I don't know what he would be charged with. There's so many things.
Our reporting is perjury.
There's so many things. But I will tell you this. He was the architect and mastermind of what's come to be known as the Russia hoax. And it started with the Steele dossier. And the Steele dossier, we agree, that was something that the Clinton campaign paid for. It was a fake dossier designed to falsely tie Donald Trump to Russia. We know that. Now, what's interesting about that is the guy that I went to prison so you won't have to in the first chapter, who put me in leg irons in an armed takedown at Reagan when they could have just called me up, Walter Giardina. He was the guy who read the Steele dossier, according to whistleblowers, and said it was correct. And that then Comey, let me finish it. Comey signed the FISA warrants based on what he must have known was false or spurious information. And that in and of itself, he broke the law. That alone, never mind all the lying.
Let's circle back to what is here in this book, because look, the reality is there were a lot of people.
So as you just heard Peter Navarro say, actually, it was completely weaponized against him. And just so you know what happened with Peter Navarro, with James Comey, they subpoenaed him. He's a high-level White House official. Most high-level if not all high-level White House officials are advised you never follow a subpoena because they're calling them in under oath and will ask them questions about the administration that they may not want to be made public. And lying under oath is perjury. And so they tell him, hey, resist it. And by him doing what Democrats have did, remember, Hunter Biden ignored a subpoena. Hunter Biden didn't get taken to prison. The Democrats did everything they could to make sure that nothing happened to Hunter Biden. Not only did he not show up for the subpoena, he actually did a freaking press conference on the steps of a whole nother building in DC just to show I'm here and y'all ain't gonna do nothing. But with Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon, all they did was follow their orders. You ignore the subpoena. They're not criminals. They're not running around. They weren't flight risk, but they put them in prison. Check out what Dan Bongino has to say. And one thing about Dan Bongino, he is very spirited, very emotional. And when he speaks, I just believe him. Check this out.
It's funny that he says, well, you know, the intelligence community does intelligence and then the White House does spin. There is no bigger spinster out there than Jim Comey. This guy is the founder of the feast when it comes to political spin. Let's just walk through quickly the case against Jim Comey, because it's crystal clear how horribly he handled this whole situation. He failed to notify Congress, Pete. This is on the record. For 8 months about the most sensitive investigation possibly in modern U.S. history, the spying operation on U.S. Trump. And by the way, Pete, in case any of the viewers are thinking, well, you had to wait because it was sensitive. No, There are quarterly briefings with select members of Congress where they're supposed to brief them on that. He also screwed up the FISA-Gate scenario, where he failed to vet the information used to spy on potentially innocent American citizens. Screwed up the Flynn case. He screwed up the Hillary case. This guy is going to be remembered only as a cautionary tale for future FBI agents on what.
So, and as you heard, he brings up the Hillary Clinton. Jim Comey was the one who investigated Hillary Clinton with the 33,000 emails. And remember, he's the same one that stepped up and said, you know, I don't believe that she intentionally deleted her servers and bleached them and destroyed all of the evidence that we had subpoenaed to have brought in. No, she didn't do that on purpose. Excuse me. Not the Secretary of State. No, not the former first lady to a two-term president. No, she didn't know what she was doing when she ordered her staff to bleach the hard drives. And if you don't know what bleaching is, that's a way that you get data off a hard drive. You remove it where it can never be recovered. That's what happened with her servers, that the 33,000 emails were being sent back and forth on, that she did, which you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to have high-level classified documentation on a server that's not authorized by the U.S. government. But she did it. And guess what happened to her? Nothing. Some hearings and some grandstanding. Now we finally going to have an indictment rolling down. As long as, and again, I'm throwing as long as we don't see a huge revolt in the DOJ, maybe there's a whole lot of Biden administration holdovers. I don't know. I know there's one lady came out, but I also know that new prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia is not playing around. And it seems to me like she's coming with everything she's got full blazing. So we're going to see. Only thing I ask, though, is let's not become emotional liberals. Let's not become like them that want. That's why the Democrats look so stupid. Their politicians just act off emotion. Oh, I don't like this and I'm mad. So I'm gonna, and they look silly. They make the wrong decisions and they end up having to backtrack. We don't want that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to believe that some of the people that get in my comments and say stuff like that aren't a part of MAGA and Republicans at all. I think they're nothing more than pissed off leftists that jump on videos like mine, watch it, and it pisses them off. So they just dump in the comments trying to be disruptive and disrespectful. But we're not going to let them, because the fact that you're watching this right now, I know more about you than you probably think I do. And we haven't even met, but I know you, Patriot, and I see you. So if you've hung out and you watched this video up to this point, I want to thank you from the top and bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you aren't subscribed, subscribe. Most importantly, I want you to stay safe and you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.